Okay, so welcome to tonight's webinar. As you can see there from the screen, tonight we're talking about your first 4 weeks. And this is the second in a series of 8 that I run. The first one was last week, where we talked about getting started, which is really just about kind of getting your catalogues ready, how to put them out and so on. And this one is really kind of based on the other things, apart from getting your catalogues out, getting them back in again. Obviously, there's a few bits of online stuff going on now with Facebook and so on starting to do quite well. So apart from that, what are the other things that you need to start thinking about when you're starting off your Kleeneze journey? So it's useful to think about these things in the first few weeks. So that's why I have called it that. And all of these webinars are recorded, and right at the end, hello Sue, right at the end I'm going to show you where all the recordings are. So if you want to share any of these with your team members who were not able to join us tonight, then you can do that. If you want to kind of just go back over it, if there's something that I go through a bit too quick and you want to go over again in your own time, obviously you can do that as well. And also, because all of them are there, if there's one that you're particularly interested in, like supporting new team members, for example, or something, you don't have to wait 3 or 4 weeks to get to that one. You can just go straight to the recording. So, in your first 4 weeks, oh hi Alex, welcome to the webinar. Glad you could join us. In your first 4 weeks, this is what we're going to be covering tonight. Should take about half an hour or so. We're going to be talking about goal setting. Goal setting is one of the skills that pretty much everybody that I know who joins Kleeneze doesn't do very much until they get into Kleeneze, and then they often find that it's really one of the most useful skills that they learn, and certainly that's true for me. And I've got a little checklist for you that just for you to go through, see if you're doing everything that I think you should be doing. I also want to introduce you to residual income and team building. Now, not everybody joins Kleeneze for residual income, and not everybody wants to be a team leader. Some people just want to come in, do their catalogues, do an extra £50 to £100 a week, and that's absolutely fine. But I think it's really useful to be aware of what's possible, even if you don't intend to go for those things when you first start off. And certainly with team building, sometimes you can make a quick start and become a team leader before you even know how to. So it's useful to know about those things. So, goal setting. One of the things that I always ask new starters, and it's sometimes useful to ask yourself as well when you first start off, and you've probably got a bit of an idea, but sometimes it's worth spending a bit of time just making sure it's clear in your own mind, and that is, what is it exactly that you want out of Kleeneze? And basically what I always recommend that you do is to set yourself some goals. Because Kleeneze is a self-employed business, you don't have a boss telling you you have to do this or you have to do that before you get paid. It's up to you. And that's good and it's bad, because it's good that you've got all that flexibility, but it's easy just to kind of, oh well, I'll just put a few catalogues out when I feel like it, and you're not really driving yourself and you're not really achieving as much as you can do. So it's useful to think about what your first goal would be. What would you like to achieve in Kleeneze? And what I'm going to recommend that you do, and you can do this if you've got a pen and paper with you tonight, or as I say, go back over this tomorrow when you've got maybe a little bit more time to stop it and pause it and restart it again, is to think about 3 goals that you'd like to achieve over the next year. And so what I call these is a short-term goal, so that's something that you can achieve just in your first couple of months. A medium-term goal, which could be kind of 3 to 9 months, maybe up to a year. And longer-term goals, a long-term goal is something that's going to take you at least a year to achieve. And what I recommend is you actually make these goals emotional. So sometimes people say to me, my goal is to get 250 catalogues out twice a week. Now that's great. That's a kind of a good goal to have in terms of running the business. But much more powerful than that is to think what you will actually do with the results of that. So for example, if you're thinking, actually what I'd really like is just an extra £50 a week, because I'd love to be able to take the kids to the cinema every weekend, or I'd love to just be able to go out for a meal with me and my partner without having to worry about where we're going to get the money from the bill, whatever it might be. But something that's kind of emotional and visual to you is a lot more powerful than just I want to put all my catalogues out all the time. And so I'm going to also ask you a bit about, or explain some different options on what to focus on when to achieve it, and I'll expand on that a little bit more in a moment. But basically, there are two key parts to Kleeneze. There's the retail part, and that's pretty much everybody who joins Kleeneze starts off and does some retail, and some people build up a really big customer business and do a lot of retail, and some people can just get themselves doing 10%, something like that, maybe £1,000 a month in orders, build it up to that point, and then really focus on the team building side. And as I said earlier, it really depends on you and what you're looking for. So as a rough guide, I would say if you're in a situation when you really need money now, if you're kind of worried about being able to pay the rent, or you're worried about paying the mortgage or some big debts or something like that, then focusing on the retail is going to give you the quicker reward straight away. If you're more interested in looking for a residual income so you can retire early, or building up a big pension fund or something like that so you don't have to work right through into your 70s and 80s, then the residual income that you'll achieve from building a team is where you can focus your attention on. But a big question you need to ask really is to achieve any of those goals, any of those things that we've talked about, you need to think about how much time you're going to commit to this business. And Kleeneze is a wonderful business, but you do need to commit time to it. It won't happen overnight. Whatever your goals are, you need to put some effort in and some time, and the more time you can put into it, the bigger the goals that you can achieve. And it's always worth putting as much time in as you can at the beginning to build things as quickly as you can. Now, I've just got a quick question I'd like to ask you, a little bit of feedback perhaps from you guys, especially even people like Myrna and Sue, who I know have been in the business a bit longer. And can you remember what your goals were? And don't say about maybe £50 a week. Did you kind of have something that you were aiming to do just to be able to retire early, or pay for a holiday, Amanda? That's a great one. Anybody else got any thoughts? Anything, if they were just wanting to be able to pay the rent, or just sort of saving up for a holiday, like Amanda, paying a bill? Yeah, that's a great one, Martin. There's lots of people join Kleeneze just because they want to kind of get rid of some debts or pay off some bills or anything like that. So, and that's really important to kind of have that clear in your own mind what you're wanting to do. Tony and Rianne, sack the boss. Yeah, being able to give up your job and have all of the freedom that you get with a business like Kleeneze is, a lot of people have that kind of goal as well. So great. Yeah, Myrna. Yeah, I remember speaking to Peter about your situation. So that's great. It's really important, and I hope some of you new guys, I know I've kind of seen a couple of new faces. I know I've only been in the business a little while, are kind of having a look at what they can get out of Kleeneze. And there's all sorts of different reasons why people join. Thank you, Sue. Thanks for sharing that with us. So that gives me an idea of what your goals are, and hopefully you'll kind of have an idea in your mind for what your goal is as well. Now, what I mentioned that earlier as well, is be patient with Kleeneze. You can put a lot of time and effort in, but Kleeneze can be a bit of a roller coaster. When you're first starting off, especially on the catalogue side and actually also on the team building side, you'll find that being consistent and persistent will pay off. You will have good pickups, you'll have not so good pickups. You'll have team members that join and really are successful straight away, work really hard right from the beginning. You'll also have team members that join that just they just don't seem to be able to get started, and they really struggle. And if you kind of decide, oh, this isn't working or this isn't working based on just one or two sort of weeks, good weeks or bad weeks, then you could be missing out on a huge opportunity, because being consistent and persistent is where it's going to pay off for you. So as I've said there, be patient with it, give it time, and you can achieve enormous things. So that's all very well me saying let's set a goal, and we've seen some fantastic goals there, people wanting to pay bills, people wanting to get out of financial difficulties and saving up for holidays. But how to achieve those goals? It's all very well writing them down. And what I want you to think about doing today is think about what you can control. So if you focus on the debt or the bill or the amount of money that you're wanting to earn, it can be a bit kind of difficult sometimes because you can't control how much you earn from the business. All you can control is how hard you work, how many catalogues you put out, how many people you speak to about joining the business. So I talk about focusing on the actions, which are the things that you can control rather than the results. Now your goals, whatever that goal is, to have, to be able to pay off a £500 debt, to be able to pay off my mortgage, to be able to pay my rent at the end of the month, those goals are achieved by the results which come from your actions. So, little example here. If your goal was, maybe this is Amanda and Andrew were saying about a holiday, and if your goal is to be able to save up £1,000 to have a holiday in 6 months' time. Now, the results, in order to earn £1,000, one way of doing it is to have around about £5,000 worth of orders over the 6-month period. So just on the kind of your commission from those orders, around 20% or so, and you would earn about £1,000, regardless of any kind of other bonuses on top of that. So £5,000 in orders is around about £800 in orders per month. Now, £800 in orders per month, if you put out about 800 catalogues per month, on average, over something like 6 months' time, if you're doing 800 catalogues per month, that would be around about £800 in orders per month. You might start off with your average being a bit less than £1 per catalogue, but the longer you do it, the higher your average will grow. So if you do 800 catalogues a month for 6 months, you're not going to be far off that. So 800 catalogues a month might sound quite a lot, but actually it's probably 200 catalogues a week. Well, in fact, it's exactly 200 catalogues a week if we talk about a 4-week period rather than a calendar month. So putting out 200 catalogues a week, you could do that, once a week, put 200 out, or you could put out, say, 100 catalogues on a Monday, 100 catalogues on a Thursday. And the point is, what you're thinking about by breaking it down into the results that you need to achieve that goal and the actions that you need to drive those results, you can now focus on what you can control. You can get up every Monday morning and think, right, I've just got to put my 100 catalogues out today. And you get up every Thursday and say, right, or every Wednesday to pick up the 100 catalogues, and Thursday to put the next 100 out, and so on. You can control that. You can decide whether you put the 100 catalogues out or not. And by focusing on the actions, as I say, you can control that, and you're not kind of worried about, oh, how much did I earn this week? How much did I earn that week? You're focusing on what you can control. And you will find that's a great way to achieve goals. Now, in order to take all of those actions, what I recommend you do, especially if you're starting off from new and you haven't done Kleeneze before or anything like this, you need to put in place some kind of plan for when you're going to take those actions, when you're going to put the catalogues out, and when you're going to pick them back up again. So having some kind of weekly planner like this, I think is a great thing to start off with. This is the one I normally send to all my new starters. As you can see there, it's very, very simple. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday right across the top. Morning, afternoon, evening down the side. And what I normally say is just block out any other commitments. So if you've already got a job and you're working, like part-time mornings or kind of every other day or whatever it might be, or 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, block that out, because obviously you can't go delivering catalogues when you're working as well. But then that will then show you when you've got slots for doing your catalogues and so on, so that you can start to plan and fit around your other commitments. So this is just a little example that I drew there. I won't go through this in all the detail, but one of the things that I used to do, for example, if we could just skip to Thursday, you can see there, Thursday morning, I was doing 2 drops a week when I started off. So Thursday morning I dropped my first lot of catalogues, and then Thursday evening I'd be preparing my catalogues for the second drop. And on a Friday, this was normally when I'd receive an order. I'll go back to when I actually placed it in a moment, but Friday was when I was dropping the second lot of catalogues, and then I'd be delivering some orders in the afternoon. So if you just look there, Thursday I was dropping my first lot, Friday I was dropping my second lot, and then Monday is when I was picking up the first lot, Tuesday I was picking up the second lot. I used to find I quite like to leave my catalogues with my customers over the weekend, So I would do a Thursday drop to pick up on a Monday, a Friday drop to pick up on the Tuesday. But obviously, if you're aiming to do all of your catalogues twice a week, then you couldn't do it that way because there's obviously two lots of catalogues out. But what you could do is you could do, say, a Friday drop to pick up on a Monday and then a Tuesday drop to pick up on a Thursday, for example. And you also need to think about stragglers because you're not going to get them all back the first time you go round, so you need to allow time to pick up the stragglers. And so again, there you can see Tuesday I was picking up stragglers that I hadn't got on the Monday. Wednesday I'd be picking up stragglers that I hadn't got on the Tuesday, and so on. And then I always used to like to place my order on the Wednesday. Make sure you do it by 3 o'clock. I mean, officially it's 3:15, but I always aim to get an order in by 3 o'clock because then you're going to get it back 2 days later. And if I was putting them in on a Wednesday, I knew I'd receive my order on the Friday, and then that would give me kind of Friday afternoon and the weekend to try and get all my orders delivered. So that was the kind of the routine that I had. But by putting that plan in place, it kind of gave me that structure that I needed, so that if I needed to do something with my daughters at school or anything like that, I knew my plan and I could sort of rearrange things as I needed to. So it's certainly something that I would recommend, especially if you're just getting started or if you're struggling to get into a routine. So, quick question: do people kind of have a routine yet? Have you guys felt that especially people who have just been starting for a couple of weeks, do you feel like you're in a routine, or are you still kind of getting up in the morning thinking, oh, I'll see what the weather's like and decide if I'm going to put my catalogues out then? I know Sue, my upline, and I had similar routines. We often used to kind of cross paths as we were delivering and picking up our catalogues at different times of the week. So Tony, you've obviously planned right ahead, right through to the end of period 1 in January. So clearly you're very organised. Well done, Tony. I think you can do that. Once you've been in the business for a little while, you can actually plan quite a long way ahead because you know how many catalogues you're putting out, especially if you're delivering to a customer base. You'll know how many you're putting out, how many you're picking up, how long it takes you, the different days of the week you do it, and so on. I think I found when I first started off, my plan was changing pretty much every day, or a couple of times a week, and it kind of gradually, as I worked out how long it took me to do everything, then I gradually got my plan in place. So, but definitely worth trying to do that, guys. Now, I mentioned a bit about checklists, so there's just a few things here that I'm going to go through, not particularly to do with catalogues or team building, but just things to help you kind of build your knowledge of the business. So I think when you first start off, it's really, really important to just immerse yourself in Kleeneze. There's a well-known adage, which is if you do something every day for 21 days, it will become a habit. And the beauty of a habit is you kind of do it without thinking about it. If anyone's got a bad habit, like biting your fingernails or smoking or anything like that, you don't have to remind yourself to do it. It's a habit, and it happens every time, every day. And that's true of good habits as well. So if you're doing something in Kleeneze every day, it kind of becomes a habit. And that doesn't have to be necessarily putting catalogues out every day, but it could be, one day you put your catalogues out, one day maybe you're kind of reading watching one of these webinars maybe, or catching up on some of the webinars. Another day you might have a little meeting with your sponsor, your team leader, and then another day you'll be collecting catalogues and so on. And by doing a bit every day, your kind of knowledge and experience of the business will grow really, really quickly in those first few weeks. Make sure you have a go at putting your weekly planner together. And as I said, don't worry too much if you're sort of not sure how long everything's going to take you. Print off half a dozen templates or, draw them on a notepad. And, just write in what you plan. And then as you change it, as you get into it, then you can sort of change it and gradually it'll get more and more kind of solid as you get better at doing it. Okay, what else? Making a list of everybody that this is really useful. I'm going to come back to this at the moment, but starting to make a list of people will help you in a number of different ways. And where are we? Oh yes, creating a retail story. So one of the things you will find is if you do get into team building, and you may not have an intention to do it at the moment, but it's always worth bearing in mind that you might want to become a team leader at some point, even if you do at the beginning. one of the things that you'll often be asked is, firstly, how much are you earning now? And if you've been in the business for a few years, you might be earning several £1,000s a month from your little part-time business. But if you've only just started, it might be £50 a week, £100 a week. And people will want to know how much are you earning now, and also how much did you earn when you first started? Because that's what they want to know. If they're going to start this, in their first couple of months, how much are they going to earn? So if they ask you how much did you earn, it's important that you've got your own little retail story. And so it's really important at the beginning to create your own retail story, and that is to try and do as much as you can. Create a big story as quickly as you can in your first few weeks. So I always talk about the 30-day bonus. If you can get those catalogues in and out as often as you can in your first 30 days, apart from the fact that you're obviously qualifying for all those extra free catalogues, which are great. The more catalogues you've got, the more you can earn. But you're also going to be earning more money. And so when people say to you, how much did you earn? If you're sort of saying, oh, well, actually, I didn't make any money in my first sort of 3 or 4 months, then they're going to be thinking, oh, I'm not sure that I want to join them. But if you're saying, well, yeah, 250 quid in my first month, and then it went up to 400 quid, and then 550 after 3 months, they're going to be thinking, oh, right, okay, so this obviously works. And so when you start to team build, that's a really important story. So really go for that 30-day bonus, as well as sort of delivering to your areas. Make sure your friends, your family, your neighbours, everybody that you can think of in your area is aware that you're doing Kleeneze and have had the chance to have a look at the catalogue. They might not all want to order from you straight away, but as long as they know, then if they do want to order, they know they can come to you. Okay, one of the things that I talk about a lot towards the end of the series of 8 webinars is personal development, learning, expanding your own knowledge in a whole host of different areas. And one of the things I recommend to help you get started on that is to read this really short book. It's by a chap called Don Thaler, and it's called The 45-Second Presentation. It's nothing to do with Kleeneze, but it's all about network marketing and the power of becoming a team leader. So have a little look through that book. It's it's only kind of 50 or 60 pages. You can really read it in an hour or two. Big writing, lots of pictures, just the kind of book I like. And it's a really great book just to kind of show you how network marketing really works. Really attend as many meetings as you can possibly manage. In your first kind of month or so, meetings are really inspiring when you're in this business, because you come across all sorts of people who are, who've achieved a lot, who've achieved a little, who are going through, similar challenges you might be going through, all sorts of different people. And you just get such a wide range of trainings in all different parts of the building, different parts of the business. So there will be local open evenings near you. I know we've got our local one next week, which I'm looking forward to. There's Millionaires Colleges, so this is a big local, not big local, regional meetings, I suppose. Every couple of months, there's Millionaires that Bob Webb runs. The one this weekend coming up down in Bracknell near Reading and Maidenhead, that sort of way. There's also one that Gavin runs up in the northeast. There's other sort of big meetings organised by other groups as well. Usually, as I say, 2, 3, 4 times a year maybe. Big regional meetings, but really you learn such a lot from them. There'll be little trainings. Your team leaders will have little sizzles. And then the company obviously run the big showcases at Birmingham 2 or 3 times a year as well. So there's lots and lots of opportunities to get along, to meet your other members of your team and learn a lot about this business. So really try and get along to as many meetings as you can in your first few weeks. And also contact your sponsor. This is a sort of business where if you want to go it alone, you can, but actually I find pretty much all of the successful Kleeneze distributors are people who speak to their sponsor regularly. From day one, from the day they started, just ringing your sponsor up, just letting them know how things are going, if you've got any questions, and whether it's been a good day or a bad day. If you speak to your sponsor, they can help you and support you and encourage you and just guide you through, especially these first few weeks when you might be kind of coming across things. I'm not quite sure if everyone does this or if it's just me. If you speak to your sponsor regularly, then they can help you with that. Okay, I said at the beginning I was just going to talk a little bit about residual income, and that's just what I'm going to do now. Oh, thank you, Martin. Yes, so residual income. So just as a brief introduction, residual income is income that you are paid again and again long after the work that you did to earn it has finished. So typically people think about residual income as being like a best-selling author. J.K. Rowling, when she wrote the Harry Potter books, however many years ago, probably the last one was she finished about 10 years ago now, I'm sure she's still getting paid lots and lots of money from all of the Harry Potter books and so all sorts of things that are sold. The same with number one songwriters, Paul McCartney or whatever, wrote lots of songs a long time ago. I'm sure he's still getting money paid into his bank account every day from songs that he wrote 20 years ago. So that's one way to earn residual income. If you fancy yourself writing a best-selling novel or writing a number one hit, then that's one way of achieving it. But there's something that might be a bit more achievable, more familiar with you. And so, and that's something I just wanted to kind of introduce you to now. So if you think about your savings, and you might not have a lot at the beginning. A lot of people that start Kleeneze, one of the reasons is they don't have a lot of savings and they're kind of worried about their future a bit. But just to give you a rough idea, if you had a bank account, a savings account, where you could get 2.5% interest, that's pretty good actually these days. There's not a lot of interest achieved on savings accounts, but 2.5% is probably possible somewhere in a good building society. If you had £100,000 in that bank, you'd be earning about £208 a month in interest. Now that's not brilliant. You couldn't really retire on that, but 200 quid a month for doing nothing really, for just having it sat there, is not bad at all. What other ways could you earn 200 odd quid a month? Well, one way is to be a Kleeneze distributor. Let's suppose you get yourself up to the 10% level, so you're putting in orders of £200, £250 a week, something like that, and you've got some team members who join. So you start to speak to a few friends, a few family members, and say, look, I'm earning an extra 50 quid a week doing this very part-time, and if you'd be interested, let me know. And you get a few that do that. So if you had, let's say, look at the top one there, one team member who was doing that, you'd be earning, your bonus on top of what you earn yourself would be around about 30 quid. If you look at the third line down there, if you had 5 team members, your bonus, obviously on top of what you're earning from your own commission, is about £240 a month. Now that's effectively residual income because that's your bonus based on the orders that your 5 team members have put in. So, a quick question for you. What do you think is most likely over the next 12 months to start building a bit of residual income? Are you likely to save up £100,000 to put in the bank? Or do you think you could find 5 people who might be interested in doing what you do? Now you can answer that if you want. Yeah, Tony, yeah, I think mine would be very much the same. But actually that's really, really interesting because you might think that team building is hard. I know people, there's people like Sue Marshall and Myrna who have got large successful teams already, and there's a lot of people who haven't even started doing their team building yet, and you might think that it could be quite hard. But if you just look around, I mentioned about coming to the meetings and so on. If you come to the meetings and you start to learn from other people who have done it, you'd be surprised how simple it is to find people that are looking to earn a bit of extra money. And just making a start by finding 5 people over the next 12 months would give you as much residual income as if you'd had £100,000 in the bank. Yep, Martin, I'll go for that, mate. When you've got 100 grand in the bank, you'll be earning 200 quid a month from that as well. That'd be great. Okay, so quick introduction to team building then, just in case that's inspired you to maybe think about, maybe I could start my way to getting 5 team members. And this is just a quick and easy way to get started on it before you even really know how to. I always say get started by thinking about your warm list. So this is just a list of people that you know. So it could be family members, it could be your dentist, a teacher at your child's school, but anybody, just 10 people that you know. And what I would recommend you do is just give them a quick call, and we're going to use what we call the third party approach. So basically, what that consists of is, rather than ringing somebody up and saying, Jim, you're always skint, you're always scrounging money off me when we go down the pub, you probably need some extra money, don't you? Here, why don't you join Kleeneze? Because that's all that's going to do, is kind of wind them up. But what you do is, if you say, Jim, you're a good mate, I've just started this business and I'm looking for some other people that might be interested in earning a bit of extra money. If I send you some information, would you have a little look at it? And if you can think of anybody who might be interested, would you let me know? Now, by saying it that way, you're kind of really taking off the pressure from yourself. You're not saying to them, do you want to join? You're not making them feel like they have to say, actually, I'm not really interested, or yeah, cheeky bugger, I don't want to earn, I don't need to earn that extra money. You're taking the pressure off them, but by asking them if they'll have a little look, you'll be amazed at the number of people that said, actually, I did have a look at that, I might be interested myself, could we have a chat? So by doing that, you never know, you might find people out of the 10 that you ask, or even they might know somebody. You never know when their situation is that that somebody might lose their job or have their hours cut or whatever. Always just follow up a couple of days later. Hi Jim, did you get a chance to have a look at that? Do you think anybody come to mind? In a way, it doesn't really matter whether they did or they didn't. All you're doing is sowing those seeds, making them aware that you have a way to earn a bit of extra money. If they ever need it, or they come across anybody that needs it, hopefully they're now going to think of you. And you can do this every day. You can add people to that list. You can keep calling people up. And there are people who build enormous businesses in Kleeneze just by doing this. Just by every day thinking about other people that they know, that they've met, that they've come across. And there's lots of memory joggers in kind of starter packs and things like that, just to help you think of different people that you might know. And as I've said there, all you're really doing at this stage is sowing the seeds. You're just letting them know that you've got an opportunity that might be helpful to them sometime in the future. And as your business gets more and more successful, and you've got the new car, and you're going away on a nice holiday, and you're moving to a bigger house, people are going to start saying, you know what, he spoke to me about this a couple of years ago. I think it's about time I went round and saw what he's up to. Okay guys, coming towards the end now, so a couple of quick questions just to see if you were all still awake. I mentioned right at the beginning 2 different ways to earn money in Kleeneze. Can you remember what I said? Yeah, retail and team building, Alex, that's it. Yeah, Martin, selling and sell book. I'm assuming you're meaning the catalogues. So yeah, that's the first one. Yeah, Alex, you're right. Retail, residual income, Jerry, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So the 2 sides really, the retail side, which is kind of catalogues and online as well now, and the team building side. Yep, retail and team building, that was the answer I was looking for. And quick question again, what were the 2 ways I mentioned to earn an extra £200 a month residual income? Close, Alex, finding the 5 people, that was certainly one. You needed to save a bit more than £200 though. Can you remember how much you'd need in the bank? Yeah, Jerry, bank 100 grand in the bank it was, if you remember, £100,000 in the bank, or have 5 people just doing the same as what you guys are doing. If you're kind of got to the point now where you're putting in sort of 1 order a week, maybe for £200 or so. Thank you, Bernard. That was it, 100,000. You'll know if you're doing it that you've achieved that fairly quickly in your business, and other people can do the same. And if you can find 5 other people that could do with a bit of extra money and get to the same point that you are, then you're starting to build this residual income, which is brilliant. There we are, £100,000 in savings, or 5 team members doing the same as you. Now, at the beginning when I talked about goal setting, can you now remember what I asked you to focus on? Don't focus so much on the goal or your results, but focus on what? Activity, says Tony. Anyone else remember? Yep. Thank you, Myrna. Activity. Yep. It's focused on the action, the activity. Yeah, no, Jerry. Yeah, emotional goals. I think that's a really important point there, Jerry. It's actually the goals. If you can make the goals more emotional, they're much more likely to drive you and get you out when you may be feeling a bit under the weather or whatever. But what's important to focus on is the things that you can control, the actions. You can control whether or not you put out your 200 catalogues. You can't control whether people order from you or not, but all you know is that by looking at averages that we all have as a company that we've all got access to, we know that on average you'll get a certain number of orders per catalogue that you put out. And the more catalogues you put out, the closer you'll get to that average. Yep, that was it, Alex. Focus on what you can control. Yeah, actions which you control. That was it. Okay, so just wrapping up now, we covered setting and achieving your first goal. That checklist of things to do, if you remember, sort of speaking to your sponsor, going along to meetings, get your weekly planner ready. Try and do something every day in your first 21 days to do with the business, and then it becomes a habit. And then a quick introduction at the end there to residual income and team building. So, next week, I think I've got one on next week as well, we're talking about building your customer base. This is one of my favourite bits of the business. When you first start off, you're all working really hard, putting your catalogues out, trying to find your customers. Once you've got a base of customers so that you're just delivering your catalogues to your regular customers, it becomes a lot more fun, a lot easier. And all that hard work pays off in terms of the orders that you get regularly. Right, I'm just going to stop the recording now.